Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to the Things We Like podcast, episode 2 with Andrew and Brooks. Brooks, how are we doing on this fine Monday morning?
Amazing. I had a little right in the beginning, but Andrew's way too good at the intros. Like he's the podcast brain. So like he guides me every step of the way. But yeah, today
We got people in chat today
we
already
do.
too. Let's
Chloe,
go.
Novice, and Trebs. Good morning. We're pretty much on time, which is great because I'm never not tired. So like this works out. But anyways,
You texted me. You were like, "Hey, give me like 20 minutes." And
I
I'm like,
literally
"Oh, it's
was
gonna
like,
close."
I was like, I need a little bit of time because I was going to set up everything. And I'm like, I just got to wake up. It's like when Mr. Krabs wakes up and it starts playing, "You're old." And he just is like, he pulls his chin down and he's got like 50 chins. That's how I feel every time I wake up. I'm just like,
crusty
"Ugh."
face. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The boss. Yes, I made it. What's up? Elmex? I'll just say Elmex. I like to abbreviate
boss
names. So thanks for
Elmex.
showing up.
Yeah, we'll do Elmex.
Oh,
yeah,
Tristan.
thanks for coming in through.
Are we having a good time today, gamers? Yes. Speaking of gamers, that's what we're talking about today. That's our topic for today is top 5 video games of all time.
And we will also give honorable mentions as well.
I have another runner up. Like I have my top 10 is like pretty solid. So I'll mention the runners up after the fact, like at the end. So to hear the runners up, you gotta unfortunately listen to us.
Let's do first 4, then we'll do honorable mentions. And
Okay. So and then we'll save the end all be all for the last
best for last.
Okay, I like that. Okay, so all right, picking or heads or tails, Andrew.
Okay, heads or tails? I'll go tails today.
Okay, Siri, flip a coin. Wait, she didn't listen to me.
No.
Siri, flip a coin.
It's tails this time.
Okay, you go first. Right?
Oh, I go first this time.
Didn't you say tails? Because I already forgot.
I said tails.
All right,
I said tails.
All right, well, Andrew's going first, so
I'll go first this time. You went first last time, so this works out.
I did. Okay, yeah, it's fate.
All right. First game, which you're gonna see a lot of things with my list, is that as I've gotten older, I've played progressively less games, but I've played very specific games.
That's fine. That's the way.
And actually, this game is a newer game that I fell in love with, and it's on your arm. And that's Hollow Knight.
Yeah,
I love Hollow Knight. I am just like, I love a platform. It's got everything. It's got great story. It does the thing that I like, where it drops you into the story and you have no idea what's going on, and you're kind of learning as you go. It's a Metroidvania style thing where you're just like trying to figure out where to go, and you have no idea, and you're getting power ups along the way. Love that kind of some RPG-ish elements in it. The art style.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my gosh, dude! Like last week we were talking about the art style from Child of Light.
Yes.
And how like I really like that kind of watercolory art style. It's kind of similar in the Hollow stuff. Dude, yeah, I love that game.
Oh yeah,
it's so good, and we'll never get a sequel at this point.
I know, we're waiting for Silk Song. Chloe loves Hollow Knight too. That's like half the reason. It's because Chloe and Hannah that I got the tattoo. And I've been playing it recently. I'm saving it to stream this weekend, and then I'm gonna finish it.
Heck yeah, dude.
After I beat that game, it might actually crack the top 10. Cause yes,
it's so good.
No, I agree. It's so freaking good. I've been like very impressed with it so far because like the learning curve, like the skill, like the amount of skill it takes is like there is a learning curve to getting used to the attacks and like swinging down and like bouncing off of enemies and like timing and stuff like that, and using your abilities, and like you have a bunch of different ways you can customize the little dude. But at the same time, like when you get good at like I really started to get good at like the mantis trio fight where you fight one of them and then they throw 2 of them at you.
So that, in my opinion, that is the first boss where it gets hard.
Yeah.
Where it gets significantly harder. Like up until that point, you know, I'm used to like harder-ish platforming games.
Yeah.
Also, yes, Tristan is right. He's just a little dude, and I love a little dude.
Yeah.
If there's anything I love in a video game, it's a little dude.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just a little guy. But up until that point, I didn't really feel like it was insanely hard. Some of the times it was just like, what made it hard was you falling somewhere where you weren't supposed to be, or
That's what happened to me at the very beginning.
or the levels getting like you dropping into an area that's like insanely hard and things can one shot you.
Mhm.
That happened to me a couple times, but like I never felt like the bosses like crazy hard until the Mantis. And the Mantis one was the first one where I was like, all right, this is where the game is bar wise now, and I can only and I'm not even that far into the game. I can
Yeah.
only imagine it getting insanely
So-
hard as it goes.
I agree. The Mantis fight for me is like Genichiro in Sekiro. That's the point where like it clicked for me because Sekiro's hard. It's my least favorite FromSoft game, not because it's bad, it's because I'm bad.
I never played it.
Sekiro is
Yeah,
freaking
played it.
awesome. The learning curve is very steep, right? But once you get
Mm-hmm.
it and master it, you just level out and you could just whoop the game's ass. Like,
Yeah.
And so
I feel
Genichiro
like
is the
Hollow
fight.
Knights is more parabolic.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It starts
yeah.
kind of easy, and then at a point it like gets really, really hard.
Yeah. And then like, but it's like all fair, like it's not bull crap,
Mhm.
because
Yeah,
everything's
it's
the
not just-
the controls are tight. Everything about it is just like chef's kiss. And once I beat it, it might crack. I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure it'll crack my top 10.
Oh yeah,
Because
it
my
deserves
10th game,
it deserves it.
yeah, if we were doing top 10, my 10th game is a Metroidvania. So like, it might take over.
I think this game, in my opinion, I haven't played obviously I haven't played every Metroidvania game, but I
Yeah.
do love those style games.
Mhm.
And I feel like they have come the closest to perfecting the formula of that
Yeah.
game style.
Yeah,
in my
it's-
opinion.
it's one of the best. Like Castlevania does them well too. Like there was
Yeah.
I've never played Symphony of the Night, but apparently it's like the best one. But I have played Aria of Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin, and those games were really good.
Mhm.
Aria of Sorrow
Those
is
games are
like
really great.
it's amazing. So
One
Yeah.
of the greatest of those style of games.
oh yeah, for
As
sure.
well.
So Hollow Knight is number 5 for you.
Yep, for me. So Brooks, where are you sitting at number 5?
Number 5 for me. So I gotta let me. I'm trying to remember the exact order of the games because I know number 1, I know number 2, I know number 3 specifically.
I also tried really hard to like not repeat game IPs.
Oh, I did
'Cause,
too.
like-
I'm the same way. I think.
So like, because I could have very much put like all 5 as Zelda games for me.
Oh, I know. Well, okay. Well, mine number 5 would be A Link to the Past. Speaking of Zelda games, if we're going in order of
What a
like,
good game.
if we're going in order of
What a
down,
great game. Yeah,
A Link to the Past
That
is
is not the Zelda game that made it on my list, but it is of my top 5 Zelda games.
Yeah.
It is number 2 or 3.
yeah. So, side note, A Link Between Worlds was phenomenal. I loved that game.
Mm-hmm.
But A
I
Link
never
to
had a 3DS, so I never got to play that one.
Yeah, I had a 2DS. I had the doorstop. So like that's like the
gotcha.
best way to play 3DS games. Is
Yeah,
like just get a
is a
2D.
2DS.
If you want the physical copies, just get a 2DS and like do it. Oh whoa. Hold on, let me get my voice back.
You're dying.
All right, there it is.
we go.
But yeah, A Link to the Past is so. I love how simple it is, but it like it
Yes.
does everything so well. It's like it's the first Zelda game that I completed 100%. It is just Chris, what's up? What's up, boys? So Peekaboo is Chris. He is also an editor along with me.
Hey, Chris.
So yeah, we in the trenches, boys. But
Yeah.
A Link to the Past, I don't have enough good to say about it. It's just like I have too much good to say about it, I guess is a better way to word it, because I love the top-down Zelda formula more than the 3D Zelda, so that may be a hot take, but like
Yeah.
I've beaten the original Zelda. I think almost 100% or 100%, but I followed a guide, that's one of those games
Gotcha.
you kind of have to. I followed a guide the
Yeah.
first time I did that. Link Between Worlds is awesome. The new Link's Awakening was very good. I love the top down. I love the
That is my wife's favorite game. Actually,
I love the
is
toy
new
art
Link's
style.
Awakening
Like
remake.
I love that.
Oh,
But like A
God.
Link to the Past has my
Yeah.
heart, man. Like I have
It does the like the small. It does the cleanest version of the that like sprite art style.
Oh yeah, I mean the Super Nintendo. Sorry guys, the Super Nintendo is like iconic already.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know. It's when I think about it, I'm like, of course, it's like one of my favorites. But like, I think really, again, the less is more is it for me. It's like it's a super contained adventure. It's not hellaciously cryptic to where you can't figure it out. Like that's the big issue I have with the first game is like it was revolutionary and it's a great game, but it is like a little too cryptic for a casual player.
Yeah.
And that game was designed for people to talk about it back and forth before like the internet and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Super Nintendo, you didn't have the internet either, but at least that game I could see someone beating that, not 100%, but without a guide completely. And that's what I love. It's simple,
I
straightforward.
did it when I was like 7 or 8, and I got that game for the first time for my Super Nintendo. I freaking beat that game like multiple times over and over again.
Yeah, and
without
that's-
like needing a guide.
Yeah, and that's what I love about it. It's just so user friendly. It's accessible. It's nice. It's pleasant. The music is amazing. I love the light and dark world. I love the placement of the heart containers. That's where the heart containers. That's didn't they introduce heart pieces in that game instead of
I can't
just
remember if it was. I can't remember if it was that one or if it was. I don't remember which one came out first. If it
I
was
think they introduced
Link's original Link's Awakening, or if it was Link to the Past,
I think A Link to the
because they're
Past
in both games.
Yeah, somebody will correct me, but like A Link to
Yeah.
the Past is the first game that introduced like the 4 heart piece system, which was cool because that gave you a little bit more to explore in the world. And like there's the one where you have like the Pegasus boots and you hit the tree, and then like there's ones where you have to like use the invisibility rod to like walk across the spikes, and then you get the other one. And actually there is a
Omex has something really cool. Yeah.
let's see. There was a hookup to the NES Play Online using the phone line connection. Unfortunately, it was ahead of its time, so it wasn't used to. Oh yeah, they tried to do stuff like that a lot
Yeah.
back in the day, where they had like the cell phone stuff, but they tried to connect to the internet and stuff. But anyway, so all that to say, A Link to the Past, Chef's Kiss, that would be my number
so good.
5. So now,
I always tell people that who have never played a lot of, especially people that are younger, that grew up kind of in the GameCube era and post that,
Yes.
basically, to go back and play Link to the
that's
Past
like the
and
best
Link's
entry
Awakening
level Zelda
specifically.
too. That's one
It's so
another
good.
reason I love it is like anybody can. It's very easy to pick up and play, especially when you learn it. You can just kind of go. Also, the randomizers are cool. I played a randomizer. I
I've
almost
never
beat
played
it.
a randomizer.
I almost beat it, but I needed like one key at Ganon's tower and I couldn't find it. So I was like, okay. And then there's also a Super Metroid and A Link to the Past randomizer that like splits both games, and you have to know both games inside and out to get like
Oh, that's pretty cool.
it's sick. But yeah, number 5 for me would be A Link to the Past. It's a great game.
God,
so
such
your
a good
number
game. The
4.
nostalgia for that game.
I know, right?
My number 4 is actually the first PC game I ever played. So there was a time in late high school, early college, where I was like broke as a joke, and but I had a little like PC I was using for college, and I wanted to play some video games because I was super bored. and a buddy of mine had a Steam account, and so he let me have access to his Steam account and log in and like just play whatever I wanted on his. And the first game PC only game I ever got and beat fully was Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
My gosh, that game is so good, especially for its time. The physics engine is crazy. The gravity gun stuff is so much fun.
Yep.
The story is very cool and a little weird. And like, if you've like, obviously you tried to play through Half-Life. I think you ended up beating Half-Life
I did. I
1
beat it off
on
screen.
stream.
Yeah. So it's a cool game.
Yeah. It's but like the story is just it's just a better version of Half-Life 1 in every way. But also like there's some thriller elements, there's some platforming elements, there's puzzle elements. I love a game that just kind of has all that stuff
Yeah,
kind of wrapped
Half-Life
into it.
Yeah, Half-Life from my experience with just the first game, because I haven't played Half-Life 2, but I've beaten the original Half-Life, and it's a very cerebral game. It's like, because even the box, if you look at the box, it will tell you can't, it'll hint towards the fact that you can't play it like a regular shooter. Like, you're not a soldier, you're a scientist. So you have to approach combat in every situation as Gordon Freeman, as a scientist, not like, because there's so many times, especially if you play on harder difficulties. Like, I had no idea how hard that game was going to be when I first jumped into it. But like, there are puzzles, there are instances where you have to be crafty with how you use your weapons, and like you have so many weapons. So I can only imagine Half-Life 2 is just cranked up, especially with the gravity gun, because it runs on that engine. Like, I've played Gmod and like I've moved stuff around and it was fun, but I've never played Half-Life 2. I feel like I'd enjoy Half-Life 2 a lot.
So Half-Life 2 is how much fun and cerebralness that Half-Life was, but in a cleaner, easier to understand package. Whereas like, I feel like Half-Life, there's a lot of places where you're like, I have no idea what to do here.
Yeah, that was a big
Half-Life
issue I had.
2, it's a lot easier. Honestly, I feel like because I know you don't like playing stuff raw on stream, I feel like you could probably play Half-Life 2 on stream.
Yeah.
Because it feels more like a combo of, it almost feels like a Metroid Prime kind of esque game, where it's like you're just kind of wandering through the world, but it all feels like everything makes sense.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Like,
I feel like Metroid Prime does that very well.
Yeah, Metroid Prime. Oh, that's what this is from. My arm is yellow and bruised and gross and itchy, but like, that's the Chozo artifact from Metroid Prime. I love Metroid Prime so much because it does so much. It's not a perfect game, I don't think, but it does so much right.
Pretty close.
Yeah, it does so much well, and it does so much right that if Half-Life 2 is even remotely close to Metroid Prime's quality, I'd be like, Also, two things. One, I forgot to mention about A Link to the Past, for me, was I had the Game Boy Advance version with the Four Swords, and that was like the first version I had.
Yeah.
So just a little to throw that in there, a little note, I guess.
Such a good game.
Number two, I hope I didn't just already forget what I was going to say. Yep, it left my brain. It wasn't important.
Well, there you go.
But
anyway, Half-Life 2, fantastic game.
Oh,
if
it
you've
was.
Never played
There's
it, you should go back and play it.
I remember it. You just said it. So there's a.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a. I gotta look it up. It's like Half-Life 1. It's the remake. It's called Black Mesa. And it's like it's Half-Life 1 remade, but with the Half-Life 2 engine. So you can you can move stuff around. Like, for example, there's like if you have a box, you could pick it up and you can throw it at enemies like you can in Half-Life 2. Like, I'm familiar enough with Half-Life 2 to where the gravity gun, you can pick stuff up and throw it at people, like, but you can do that in Black Mesa. So it's like, it's from the ground up.
That's cool.
To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but like, it's built from the ground up. Completely new. It's a totally new experience. So if you ever want to experience Half-Life 1 in similar vein to Half-Life 2, that would be the way to do it. To my knowledge. So
I would probably love that game.
yeah, I feel like
Because
you
like
would.
that was the one thing that really like made me not want to play Half-Life 1 was I knew it was like really clunky.
It is a
and
little
like
bit.
the PS1 cube everything
Yeah.
was like kind of hard on your eyes and kind of hard to play for long extended periods of time because the motion controls were a little funky and yeah.
It is it suffers from a little bit of jank, but you know, for the time it came out and as a total package, it's amazingly smooth. Like compared to what it could be, but yeah. So Half-Life
where it
2
could've been, yeah.
is that's your number
Half-Life 2,
4, right?
maybe. That's my number 4.
Okay. So my number 4 would have to be, if I'm going in order, would be Kingdom Hearts 2. Again, huge Kingdom Hearts fan. I'm covered in Kingdom Hearts, and then this is the blue Trinity symbol from the first game. But this is one of my first tattoos. The earlier tattoos is a nobody symbol. Kingdom Hearts 2 is okay. First of all, Kingdom Hearts is stupid as hell. The franchise is just stupid as hell.
It's so dumb.
But it's like that is made for me
because it's dumb.
It benefits from being so ridiculous in its concept. Like, what if the dude walked into an elevator and was like, what if we put Mickey Mouse next to Cloud Strife? Basically. And it just happened. And it exists. And we get that, you know.
It plays very similarly to, I mean, more of what Final Fantasy games are now.
Yeah. It's cool because
which is very funny.
I love so they just took everything from Kingdom Hearts 1. And well, the Chain of Memories comes after that canonically, and then Kingdom Hearts 2. They just cranked everything up to 11. And like the combat is better. Oh, the combat is so good. You could do like level 1 runs. They're like designed. If you play the remasters, like there's a 0 XP ability where you don't gain experience and you can do a level 1 run all the way through. So they know the Final Mix version has amazing, really hard boss fights. It's similar to like, you know, everybody's like the Dark Souls of X, Y, and Z game, but it really does get that challenging if you want it to be. You know, I'm more of a casual player at heart. Like, I'm not a super try-hard, like, whatever. I think Nava says, I have a favorite series that may be based off how many games. Pokemon is part of it, and Zelda. Oh, yeah, of course. Both of them are iconic franchises for sure.
You will see that reflected in my list.
Same. Yep, same. You will see that as well. But Kingdom Hearts 2, and I remember when it came out, the time it came out, I remember the ads on TV, like the commercials and stuff with like Sanctuary playing in the background and the music. Oh, the music will bring you to your knees. Really good like Sanctuary is one of the most beautiful songs I think I've ever heard in my entire life. And like Persona 5 Royal. Oh, Persona 5 Royal. My favorite game based on how many times I've played it. Oh yeah, Novice has played Persona 5 a million times.
I feel like Persona 5 is one of those games that has like an insane amount of hour potential in it.
That's you know, like, dude,
there's so much stuff that you could do in
even though Kingdom Hearts 2, I'm gonna say Kingdom Hearts 4, which doesn't exist yet, but I'm ready for it. Pump it into my veins. But Kingdom Hearts 2, I do have nostalgia glasses for it. I'm not gonna sit here and act like it's not none of the games on our lists are perfect. You know, I'm sure you could point out a million flaws and all the games, but it doesn't matter. Like, and I'm sure I'm looking at it with a bit of bias and nostalgia too, because of the time it came out. Like, I also
think that like Kingdom Hearts it suffers from the story convolution.
The story is like you can make like Ian can make sense of it better than anybody I've ever met, but it is nonsense. You know,
same for Will.
Yeah,
we're gonna have Will on the podcast.
Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait.
Fantasy stuff, but he's the guy that understands the lore more than anybody. That I know.
Dude, yeah, we just have a whole Kingdom Hearts episode. I want to
Yeah.
play Persona 3 Reload, but it's not available on the Switch, and according to the internet, it won't be. RIP. It must be like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a PlayStation or PC thing. I don't know much about. I've
It
only.
was a PSP thing. They did the reload for PSP, I think. or
Oh, I
whatever.
see.
And yeah, it's a
All I know is
PlayStation
Frank
only.
streams it, so that's all I really know about
Yeah,
that. But
I
anyway,
think it's a PlayStation exclusive.
oh, I see. Kingdom Hearts 2. So my final thoughts on Kingdom Hearts 2 is combat's amazing. They take it so far. There's so many iconic pieces of dialogue, whether they're funny or serious. Like, say, fellas, is this the
Yeah,
door to
dude.
darkness? And then just Mickey's just standing there in a black cloak, and it's just like that.
Bro.
Out of context is so ridiculous, and it just. And then Goofy literally, he says something along the lines of, well, we banished Pete to the shadow dimension. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You banished, Pete got sent to the literal shadow realm. And I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
That came out of Goofish P. Goof's mouth. Like, are you high? Whatever
The
you're
things
on.
that they make Goofy say and Mickey say are just crazy.
Oh, dude, Kingdom Hearts 1 where Goofy canonically goes, we got to protect the world border. And Donald goes, order. And he goes, huh, right, world order. And I'm like, you can't just say that. Goofy says world order. Like, out of context, that could be dangerous. Goofy, world
Yeah.
order. Well, I got some ideas for how we should run this thing. You know what I mean? I think it's hilarious seeing Disney characters saying dark things. Dude, last thing I'll say, there's a manga panel of Donald explaining why you shouldn't meddle in the affairs of other worlds. I'm not going to spoil it. Just
Yeah.
look it up. It's like Donald Duck says that. But anyway, that's number 4 for me.
And like hearing that, yeah, that's solid. That's a solid choice, man.
A star's going out.
Sorry. Number 3 for me starts moving into a very similar realm of like RPG nerdy
Yeah.
stuff. This is it's not the game that really broke me into RPGs, like JRPGs, but it's probably the first game
Mm-hmm.
that outside of Final Fantasy made me really like understand that I just love JRPGs in general.
Mm-hmm.
Tales of Symphonia.
Yes.
So freaking good. And probably I would argue one of the most underrated series.
Yeah,
of all time.
I've never
Like,
played it
Telltale
myself, but I've heard so much good about that game. And like, let me see. I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to look up on eBay like Tales of Symphonia. I might. We'll see. eBay.
They released a remastered version for the Switch like not too long ago.
That's cool. The original Tales of Symphonia. Oh, there's a Switch version. The GameCube version. I'll just pop this up on the. So this remaster on the Switch is like $30, right? You can get it $30 used on eBay.
Yeah,
The
something like
GameCube
that.
version going
is
for
the
like
game that version that I played.
$100.
Yeah, I know. I should have kept my copy. It was so much fun.
Oh, they're
dude.
bidding on this.
Yeah. But it's so much fun. Like
Well, I'm thinking
massively
of
underrated. I also played the second one for Wii, the
this.
Tales of Symphonia.
Oh, that's what I was thinking of.
I can't remember what it's called.
So, in that same
Um,
vein of like Panzer Dragoon, like this is the
Oh,
Sega
yeah.
Saturn version, and it's like they're selling for over $1,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So all these old JRPG things is like very
yeah.
sought after.
Legend of the Dragoon is so good. Golden Sun, so
But
good.
I've heard,
like
I have
Chrono
played Golden
Trigger.
Sun actually, but like Tales of Symphonia, I don't really know much about it, but I do know that it is like
You
a
should look at the
very
game. You should look at some gameplay real quick because the
okay.
combat system is super cool.
Tales
It's
of.
based.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna look this up.
It's one of those. It's like, it's the combat system is based in like a circle, kind
Mm-hmm.
of. So you like run in the circle and you like still attack inside the space. It reminds me a lot of Quest 64. If you've ever played Quest 64.
Yeah, I think I've played it, but I know about the game.
But it's very similar to that kind of combat style. Novice says, I bought Tales of Vesperia for my Switch while it was on sale. Have to get back into it, but I'm keeping an eye on the eShop for another sale for the other. I also have Tales of Vesperia. I bought it also when it was on sale. But I have not, I've played a lot of it. I'm still kind of getting through it. I keep forgetting that I just haven't had time to play it as much as I want to. So I keep forgetting to play it. But yeah, I'm probably going to get the remake of Tales of Symphonia pretty soon. It's so good. The storyline is so good.
Yeah, so this is the combat, right, that you were talking about?
Yeah, this is the combat.
So it's kind of like you can move around and like you have your characters like.
Yeah. So you kind of free roam. So it's like, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like, it's linear, but you can also free roam, but you kind of choose your target and attack, and then you have like limit break type moves.
Okay, so there's like a bar.
Once you get to a point.
Yeah, I feel like I'd have to play it, but once I got into it, I could like feel it out and like
it's super cool. And it lets you do a thing that like it's not really turn-based, but it lets you do a thing where you can kind of be strategic about when you attack and where you are and how you move and those things like that.
Yeah.
Tales of Vesperia has been very talking to Tristan. Tristan says Tales of Vesperia is a personal favorite of mine. It's so good. It is very similar to Tales of Symphonia as far as like the largeness of the story. The world's very big. I just haven't beaten it yet, so I can't add it to my list. But Tales of Symphonia,
that's how I feel about Hollow Knight.
See through some. Exactly. I also see Tales of Symphonia through some nostalgia glasses because it was just one of those games where I don't know. It was such a good game and such an influential game on me and JRPGs in general.
My hot take is I think nostalgia makes games better.
I mean, that's true.
Because, like, you know, that's a game could be, you know, it's kind of like the one man's trash is another man's treasure type beat. But, like, you know, if I grew up with a specific game, it's like, yeah, that game could be super flawed. But to me, it means a lot. And I don't think nostalgia, viewing any piece of media through a nostalgic lens, I don't think is wrong at all. And if it enhances it for you, I think that's a great thing and it should be embraced. You know, like, you can.
And I feel like.
Yeah.
Though Tales of Symphonia I do view through nostalgia glasses, there is a reason that it did get a remake for Switch.
Oh, yeah.
And it is because it is known as one of those great games. So though I do see it through nostalgia glasses, I also have to see the fact that, like, it's obviously a very great game. I think everybody should play it. It's a lot, I would say, it's a much better entry point into JRPGs than like a Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's a lot less convoluted. It's more accessible as far as the art style. Final Fantasy tends to get like really politically like charged and like complicated, like, you know, which is great if you enjoy that kind of stuff. But most people that are just getting into JRPGs don't.
They really, want more of a fantasy type thing than like a politically driven, like, the king is this and here's the this and that, you know, like,
and then like the Tales games have a little bit of that in it for sure, but it's less like Cloud was literally a war use.
Like Final Fantasy VII has a lot of politics in it, but also Tristan says
and most people say Final Fantasy VII is a place to get into it, and I would say a Tales game would actually probably be an easier place.
Right. Tristan says Symphonia is an excellent game, big fan. As long as you get
as you get to kill God.
Okay, well,
you're not wrong though. You're not wrong.
My number 3, speaking of killing God and RPGs, Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door is my.
Oh, bro, I never got to play it.
The remake is coming out on Switch, and I recommend it.
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna
play it.
I never got to play the original version.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's aged so well. Like, the Paper Mario series has had a time. Ghost, what's up, dude? Thanks for showing up, man. Good morning, Ghost. But the Paper Mario series has been bluntly mistreated over the years. And like,
Yeah. Well, I was a big fan of the Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven
oh
Stars
yeah,
game that just got a remake. Was a huge fan of that game and massively
I need
excited.
to play the Switch remake and everything.
Dude, you should play the Switch remake because the original one suffers from they just weren't sure how to do 3D models. At
Yeah,
that
the
point, so it
jumping is a
suffers
little
from some
jank.
clunkiness.
Yeah,
It's weird.
because
but
there's
the
like
remake
secrets
is
that you have to
so
like.
good.
Like there's the one secret where you have to jump on the Toad's head and like jump on top of the door and you get it, but you could miss that in the original. But in the new the
Exactly.
remake, you can get it again. But like Elmex
Exactly.
says, best
Yeah.
Paper Mario series in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was excited about the Paper Mario remakes because that's the thing that I never got into.
I
but
never
would
have saw that coming. Never in a million years would have seen that coming. But Paper Mario,
Oh yeah.
the Thousand Year Door, gets everything right. The combat's better. The story is better. And like the story is pretty straightforward. It's a Mario game after all. But the side characters make it so great. And
Oh.
the N64 Paper Mario is a great game. You know, it's also got so much.
I did play that one.
I love that game. I've beaten it multiple times. It's such a sweet, wholesome game, and you could tell that a lot of love and care went into it because that was supposed to be the sequel to Mario RPG, but they changed it and made a whole like new thing out of it. And I remember playing the original Paper Mario in like a kiosk in the mall. You know, like you'd go and remember like at old school, like you'd go in like a mall or like a Walmart or a Kmart or whatever, and you'd have like the N64 or like the GameCube
And
set
you're
up
breaking
and like
your neck.
yeah, and you're
breaking
just
your
like
neck looking up at the screen.
yeah, I love that. That'll never happen ever again. But like, oh, it was a beautiful time. But anyways, Paper Mario and like, dude. Okay, so when I was in school, I had a friend, and I have no idea where they are to this day. So shout out to Gabe. If I ever
Wherever
find
you are in the world.
I loved you as a kid, and I bet I would still love you now. But we loved games like that, and we loved Paper Mario 2. I'll just call it Paper Mario 2 just for the sake of whatever. It's the same thing.
Yeah. Thousand Year Door. Yeah.
TTYD. But like Paper Mario 2, we love that game. You can't do this, but when I was in like second grade, I loved the game. And I loved the games that I played so much. I used to like draw the Paper Mario guys and like cut them out and like have them and like play with them as a kid. And I made same for Kingdom Hearts, like Chain of Memories. I'd make the trading cards and I'd cut out the like little things and I'd draw the keyblades on them and stuff. But I actually made when I was like, it was second grade, I made a cardboard like bomb guy and like brought it to school.
Oh, nice.
But you can't do that.
Oh, nice.
Luckily,
Can't do
they
that
had
now.
no idea what it was. If I said, "Oh yeah, it's a bomb," like you can't in my little southern accent. It's a bomb. But no, that's not what it was. Because I loved Admiral Bobbery a lot, and that's one of the main characters.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like the bomb characters are cool. And after that, like Paper Mario or Super Paper Mario, I think is a good game. It's different, but it's a good game. Sticker
Yeah.
Star is ass.
Yeah.
Tristan and Hannah like
I've heard Origami King or Origami whatever.
that's the one that Tristan and Hannah like, and it's like I've
heard it's
watched them
okay.
play it on their channel, and it looks sweet. It looks nice,
Yeah.
you know, because
But it doesn't have the
visually
intensity behind
the
it. from
music
what I
in the
understand.
games are awesome. The visuals in the game are awesome. It's just in my opinion, I just think they lack substance. And I'm not saying that they have to be specifically turn-based on a stage, like whatever. Because I like Super Paper Mario. I like its approach to like, you know, it's real-time combat and you're like jumping on stuff and whatever. But like what it is it's based on that classic RPG style. The Paper Mario 1 and 2 are loved for a reason, and they follow that very like you can. I'm sure like the people that make these games are very intelligent, right? So like I'm sure
You'd
there's a
hope so.
way to
Sometimes I question it.
sometimes right, but sometimes like Played Paper Mario game on the N64, Switch Emulator 2. The game is great as well. Oh yeah, of course, it's amazing. But like, there has to be a way to do the Paper Mario turn-based formula and make it like fresh. What was it? Bug Fables was a game that came out that was like an indie game, but it was in the style of that Paper Mario, formula, and it did its own thing.
Yeah.
And I heard it was a really good game. Like I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just have so much attachment to that game. I've never beaten it to this day. Fun fact: I've been saving it to beat on, like, to make do it live or in a record. I used to record those and do like the Let's Play thing where I would like record myself playing. I had like a whole series almost of it, and then I deleted it as a kid because I was stupid and I used to delete stuff a lot. And I wish I could go back and slap that kid and be like, "Don't delete that! Don't delete that! There's too much good content. Don't delete it, you dummy."
I'm very excited for Thousand Year Door because I never got to play it. I just missed that game, and I don't think I understood what it was at the time. And yeah, looking back on it now, like I super want to play that.
You're gonna fall in love with it. It's so unique. It's so like every area in the game is like. I mean, there are some issues. Like there's a backtracking issue in one of the chapters, but like,
sure.
But it's like whatever.
Also, you don't know what they fixed. You don't know what they fixed in the remake.
They could have. They could have just chopped all of it out. Who knows? But like, there's like 2 chapters with some weird backtracking, and it's annoying. But other than that, if that's all. Like, whatever. The whole experience as a whole is like... Yeah. Anyway, Paper Mario 2, number 3. So what is your number 2?
All right, my number 2. This, I will say, I fully recognize that this is nostalgia glasses because I know that this game has problems.
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon Silver. I love Pokemon Silver.
Our number 2s are going to be very similar. I'm just saying.
I fully understand that it has problems. It has balancing issues, timing issues, speed issues.
However,
it's so slow.
It changed. So
it changed everything.
Gen 2,
it was.
I would argue that Gen 2, the way it is, and the changes that it made and how it evolved Gen 1, because like, red, blue, and yellow and green were held together with like toothpicks, Gorilla Glue, and a prayer. Like those games are janky as shit. They're still fun to play because of the jank.
Yeah, they're fun.
But Gen 2 added so much, and you could tell that was the time. Just to put it bluntly, that's the time they gave a shit. Now it seems 100%. They just don't. But that's a whole other topic for another day. But
first game that I can remember, and I think it's the only game that I can remember where they ever had 2 maps.
Oh yeah, they introduced Kanto as a post game. Like for a Game Boy.
It was the first time
it
was the first time in a Pokemon. It was the first time a Game Boy game had ever had like post game content that I can remember.
Yeah.
And it was a whole nother game essentially.
Yeah.
It was because you did the entire Kanto Elite 4 and all the badges in Kanto.
When DLC used to be part of the experience.
Yeah. It was it's such a good, and like the moment, I remember this moment because you go through the entire Silver game. Or go Silver and Gold original game, and you play everything, and you get all the badges, and you beat the original Elite Four in what's the region that it's in?
Oh, Johto
region, you beat the Johto Elite Four, and you're like, all right, cool, and then it allows you to go somewhere else, and it takes you to, and you start swimming, and it shows the map, and then it slides over, and there's another map.
Yeah, and you're in Kanto. It's crazy. Ghost says,
I'm like, what in the world just happened?
Yeah, Ghost says the original Silver's jank, but so good. Chloe says, I'm sad I haven't got to experience those games. Yeah, they're awesome. They are
fun.
Products of their time for sure, and there is some jank because like the physical special split didn't happen yet. There are some moves in the game, to my knowledge, that just straight up don't work. Like, kind of like,
100%.
I think
a lot of the buff moves just like don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, that's more of a Gen 1 issue, I think, because like, my memory is ass. So somebody will correct me eventually down the line, but like, I remember focus energy in like red, blue, and yellow and green straight up doesn't work. Like it just doesn't. Like it's supposed to boost your crit chance, but
silver,
it does.
It's not as it's not as strong. It's not as what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, there is some jank in gold, silver, and crystal, but crystal is such a great game. Like there's only one status effect in the game helps Pokemon because it was programmed. Oh yeah, that's correct. So, like, for example, catching Pokemon, like, a sleep is, like, the only status effect that actually affects the catch rate. Paralysis, burn, and, like, even freeze, it doesn't do anything.
It's supposed to. Paralysis especially was supposed to help catch rate, but it just didn't.
Also, like,
I think all of them were supposed to, but...
A lot of the balls that you can make from Kurt with the apricorn, they don't work either. They just straight up like are very niche, very specific. A lot of them don't work as intended, and it's like the love ball or something. Kind of like I don't remember. I watched the video on it and I can't remember. So I won't speak on it because I can't remember. But like.
The game, so that I know that game got remade into Soul Silver, and like I said, I never had a 3DS. Now I heard that it was basically everything like that Silver could possibly have been updated to at that point, and it made that game so good.
Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and they're for the DS, so it's not the 3DS. But,
I never had a DS either.
Oh yeah, that's God. I'll be praying for you. But we need to do like a top 5 favorite like games per console. I think we have enough for that. I think we have enough.
We probably could do that. We could definitely do that.
But so later episode.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? So basically,
Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Yeah. The problem that I have with those is didn't they keep they still had all of the Pokemon up to that point, though. So the thing I really enjoyed about original Gold and Silver was that it only had the original like 300 or whatever, like the second gen Pokemon.
Yeah, because Gold, Silver, Crystal only had like the Gen 1 and 2 Pokedex, But Heart Gold and Soul Silver had all the way up to the Gen 4 Pokedex with a National Dex.
And that is kind of like, I wish they would have done original 300 for essentially the pregame. And then when you go into Kanto as post-game content, you unlock the other 400 or whatever.
I see what you mean, because
Kanto.
I do know that like there's a point to where you can catch Growlithe before Sprout Tower. It's rare, but you can do it in Heart Gold and Soul Silver or like one of the games because it's like a version exclusive or whatever. I think, but there's so much of the Pokemon games, it's like hard to keep track with everything.
I know.
But like Heart Gold and Soul Silver, they kept the physical special split. So Pokemon like Gyarados. So when you catch the red Gyarados, it's like way better than it used to be because they can use like Ice Fang and Crunch and Waterfall and all these crazy moves. And like
that was also the first time they did a color different Pokemon in Gold and Silver
shinies.
Was the red Gyarados.
Yeah, shinies were a thing. They introduced a day and night cycle, breeding, genders in Pokemon. Yeah. They introduced like
there's so much
the dark type and steel type and like dark type and steel type. They did get shafted for sure because dark type had to balance out psychic because psychic was OP, and steel was mainly defensive. It wasn't really super offensive. Like you had moves like Iron Tail, but they weren't really great against anything but besides like rock and ice. But like steel didn't really become amazing until Gen 6 with the fairy type. But but yeah, dude, Silver is a great choice. So Heart Gold, Soul Silver. The only thing I don't like about Heart Gold, Soul Silver is the I I think the biggest thing about it, that game needed the Versus Seeker, because trying to level up and get yourself up to the in-game levels is hard because the balancing is still there. Like the trainers are just like, they're too weak, and then you get to the post game, they're like really strong, and unless you just sit there and grind and grind and grind, like you're not going to be ready for a lot of those, and you're going to get.
I put so many hours into Original Silver, bro.
Yeah, dude. One thing about Soul Silver and Heart Gold is the only game that you can get a level 1 legendary. The Arceus event got you an egg and your choice of Palkia, Dialga, and Giratina, which is sick. I got a shiny and silver and was thrown aback because I thought my game glitched. Yeah, dude, I could imagine at the time when people saw that, they'd be like, oh my God, my game's broken. Because it does like that thing. So, keeping in the vein of Pokemon, I'm cheating for my number 2 list because I really thought about it. And I can't pick. I just spoke to another Brooks. What are the odds?
Brooksy. What are the odds?
A Brooks with an S. That's crazy. We're a dying breed.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, Brooks with an S. That's how I mean, yeah, that's crazy. Another one. Shout out to the other Brooks out there. God bless them. They're struggling, I bet. So,
but yeah, no, it's such a good game, and there were obviously everybody. I think everybody that played the game originally, even me at the time, I was so blown away with all of the advancements that they made that it really overshadowed the obvious issues that it had.
That's what it
Looking
is.
back, I very much understand that there were plenty of problems. Honestly, there's a lot of pacing problems. Getting from town to town is a nightmare.
Yeah, it can be. The map's good,
but
I like the map.
The map is great, and it's laid out well.
I can
and the fact that
understand
you get Kanto as post game, it's great. But it's still just like it was the first time that I felt the sense of like, holy crap, this is amazing.
Now I will say where the game sort of dips for me, and it's like kind of hard to push through, is the radio tower bit where you beat Price and then you go do the radio tower stuff and you do all that. That's where the game slows down for me. That's the only time for me that it really slows down, and I'm like, oh, I got to get through this part again. But other than that, I think Gen 2 is great. I used to not like it a lot, but it's grown on me a ton over the years, especially since the newer games have come out.
Yeah, my favorite playing game, like if I were to just grab a Pokemon game and pick it up, is Emerald. But from nostalgia glasses, as far as my favorite game that meant the most to me was Silver.
Well, my number 2 is gonna please you, and I'm cheating because I'm picking just Gen 3 Pokemon all together for my number 2.
Fair. No,
so
that's fair.
Ruby,
100%.
Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green.
Sapphire, Emerald. Yeah.
I can't pick between the two because I think they're both amazing. And they do suffer from jank because,
not nearly as much.
Not nearly as much, but the physical special split hadn't happened yet. So Pokemon like Kabutops, for example, would not be as good as it would be in like a Heart Gold, Soul Silver, because also they introduced abilities, EVs, IVs, weather, which weather is insane. It changed everything, competitively speaking. My Silver cartridge, I played Oras so many times. Oras is great. Also, I love Oras. My Silver cartridge wouldn't let me get past Gym 7, always malfunction, and erase my progress for some reason every time. I've actually changed the battery in one of those old games, which is fun.
Oh, really?
What's
Oras?
Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. So it's the remakes of Gen 3.
I haven't played either of those either.
They are good. I love them. And with the megas and everything, and like the new physical special split, awesome. But Gen 3... I kind of like the fact that so Pokemon like Salamence, for example, if we had the physical special split, you could have Dragon Claw, you could have like physical Dragon Claw, you could have the flying type moves, you could have you could teach it like Rock Slide, I think, or certain moves like that. You could make it physical or special. You can still do that in Gen 3. But for example, Hyper Beam is literally, it doesn't touch the Pokemon, but it does physical damage. So all normal type is all physical. All ghost is all physical. All dark is all special, which is bad for Pokemon like Absol, who really could benefit from physical crunch, or like in later games where it got like Night Slash. But by the time it got that, the power creep had like pushed it down. So despite all that, I think, well, Pokemon Sapphire is the reason that I'm on this podcast at all. The reason I'm on YouTube at all into
Sapphire
gaming.
was the version I got too.
That was, and Kyogre is better than Groudon. Sorry. Better. Just better.
So here's are you a red or a blue? Like, so do you always get the red leaning? Because there's always the red leaning one and there's always the blue leaning one. Which one are you consistent there, or do you kind of go?
Do you
with
mean
whatever?
in terms of like just color alone?
So there's always a red or a blue option, right? So there's red, blue, and then there's gold, which would be red, and then there's silver, which would be blue.
I think the
and
same
then
way.
There's
I'm always the blue guy.
and then there's you're all, so same always.
Like
I had
if
original
I had to
blue
pick,
whenever
it would
came
always.
out.
I like
had
the underdog
silver.
games. Aside from, I think Diamonds is the only technically red option I would pick if I had to pick, but just play Platinum anyways. But
in that game, just play Platinum.
Black and White, I feel like blue would be white because people like Reshiram better than Zekrom.
Yeah,
but like, I'm a blue guy.
It's always blank and blank.
Yeah.
So it's always the red is always the first one, the blue is always the second.
Right. Yeah. I think it's funny you say that. I think the exact same way. But yeah, so Pokemon Sapphire was like the first big boy game I ever played, big kid game, whatever you want to call it. That was my first game.
Yeah.
And that's what allowed me to meet all my friends that I have today, like Dylan and stuff like that. It's the reason I, became an editor. It's the reason I'm on YouTube. It's the reason that I'm here on this podcast. Like, I attribute so much of my gaming history to Gen 3 because I remember when like Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, they were amazing. Emerald is like the pinnacle of that time because it introduced the cutscenes and like
goated.
It added so much to the games. And then Fire Red and Leaf Green comes out.
The bike stuff that they added, like the quick access select bike and like all that kind of stuff, being able to just hop on and off without having to go into a menu and menu dive to get on and off your bike. That was the most annoying thing about Silver, was like wanting to get on your bike and having to menu dive to get on and off of it every single time, and not just being able to select shortcut. It's freaking annoying.
Shout out to Ryan Love. I'm texting him about a guitar. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, yeah, I love, and I couldn't pick between the two because Fire Red and Leaf Green, like I said before, introduced the Versus Seeker, which is like the most important item in Pokemon, because the Versus Seeker, for example, you go to like in Fire Red and Leaf Green, you go to the bike route, the bike path, and you could rematch those bikers, but they all had like Weezings and Muck and Primate, like evolved Pokemon that yielded like tons of experience. So you didn't have to grind in the wild for like, and trainer Pokemon give you more experience, but like a wild Pokemon gives you less.
And monies.
And money too. Yeah, so you could grind money, you could grind experience, and you could also get like EVs and stuff. Well, because IVs, I think IVs and EVs are like, that's just going too far for me. Like, I don't care about them. They are important and competitive, and I've built a competitive team before, and it was a nightmare trying to do that. I did one tournament in Athens, Georgia, a long time ago with like Dylan and a friend of ours, Matthew. I got my ass beat, and it was a slog. I remember being up late at like 3 a.m. trying to breed and get the correct IVs and EVs and stuff, and it's miserable. Like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So people that do competitive Pokemon and love it, God bless them. Me looking at Pokemon Black and White, I kept getting stuck at the tower puzzle with the bike. Oh yeah, I'm a Ruby boy. Fire Red was my first game. Also played Emerald alongside my older sister. Dude, they're so good. And like Fire Red and Leaf Green took everything from the originals and at the time just cranked it up again to 11. I say that all the time, but like it just and again, the physical special split didn't happen yet. So I don't know off the top of my head.
There were some issues, but
there are some Pokemon that very few Pokemon benefit from it. Like Gengar is crippled by that because Gengar is a special attacker who needs Ghost.
Also one of Haunter also one of my favorite.
Yeah,
Pokemon
exactly. Like it's such a great Pokemon, but like that
almost
Pokemon,
unusual in Gen 3.
yeah, that Pokemon needs Shadow Ball to be special, right?
Yeah.
But there are some. Okay, so Pokemon like Gyarados, Rapidash, Gengar, they do not benefit from that because Rapidash is physical, it's fast, it needs like a physical fire move. I'm trying to think of Pokemon, and again, people will let me know later. I feel like there are some Pokemon that do genuinely benefit from the physical special split not happening. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I feel I used to actually have examples, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. Of course, when I need it,
So
when the world needed it most,
Elmex is asking about the Let's Go game, which I actually never played. But from what I understand, that was very much them testing for what new mechanics for what would eventually become the most recent couple.
I
of
will
games.
say, I think the fact that those games are $60 is bullshit. They should be no more than 40 at the most. 30 should be how much those games should be.
30
for how much effort.
Because there's not a lot of content, right?
No. But I will say, as somebody who my favorite part of Pokemon is team building, I think Let's Go, purely from a team building perspective, is unique and fun because it's Gen 1, but there are no abilities. So, for example, you get all the perks of the physical special split, but also Gengar can be hit with Earthquake because it doesn't have Levitate. So, Pokemon like Rhydon become a lot better because you can hit those ghosts. And granted, Rhydon's probably going to get his ass beat if you throw Shadow Ball at it. But if you have a Pokemon that can use Earthquake well, you can hit ghosts. And it like, there are some cool aspects. And then like Melmetal and Meltan were introduced. I think the expert trainer thing or whatever, that thing is bullshit. Because I'm not training up a level 80 Kakuna just to out-harden another Kakuna. You know what I mean?
Like I never played it, so
I'm not doing it.
I only saw a lot of these people complain about a lot of this stuff.
There's a lot of problems with them, but I enjoy it.
But I leaning into what came after that, which was Legends Arceus, I feel like they basically just used it as a place to test a lot of mechanics for the Legends Arceus game, which of the newer gen, it is my favorite game. Yeah,
Legends Arceus was in the right direction. We will have to have another episode where we talk about the downfall of Pokemon because I'm just going to say this. Sword and Shield, fucking ass. I hate those games.
Yeah.
I've beaten them multiple times. I hate them. I know there's things to like about them. Scarlet and Violet are a lot of people's least favorite. There's a lot to like in Scarlet and Violet, but I think the level of effort.
There's options. There's things in Scarlet and Violet that could. I think the problem with Scarlet and Violet is because it was almost incredible.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem.
Yeah,
is that it was so close to being incredible. Well, and like the gameplay, the ideas for the gameplay.
Oh yeah, it's just
overworld.
I don't know
it was such a good direction, but they did not execute. The execution was just not there.
I don't know who's responsible for half-assing Pokemon, but like that's why Pal World is so successful because they're like, hold my beer. I can do this, but better in so many ways. But that's for a different.
Anyway,
but Tristan said you don't have to train the Kakuna. You just need to increase hardened PP so the enemy will struggle to death first. Right. The concept, however, is not something that I'm ever going to do. And the only thing you get for beating all of them is you just get to battle red, which I'm just going to look up online for some poor soul who did it before me. Let me see.
Yeah.
Let's Go
check
Games are a
chat
good
real quick. Let's take a
introduction.
second to check chat.
Yeah, the Let's Go games are a good introduction to Gen 1 first timers. Wasn't too hard and updated. I agree. I think it would be a cool.
If you're aiming it at that market, it's super good.
Yeah,
right?
For a one time run, yeah, I think it's great to experience.
But you can't
it.
make it $60, dude.
No,
You can't make
it
50 or
has to be
$60
lower in
though.
price. I don't mind Sword and Shield. I like the fact that it felt like a champion is trying to not have a 10-year-old, but also I hated Hop. Gotcha. Feel that. I'm interested in the next gen of Switch.
I understand that.
Will increase the performance of Scarlet and Violet, making it a little less jank. Oh yeah, the Switch 2. We could have a whole episode about the future of the Switch.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was crazy how some Pokemon went from Dirt to Diamond with the physical special split. I agree. Okay, so I feel like I'm caught up.
Yeah, I
Major
think that's all
mechanic was
the, I think that's
catching
all
rather
the-
than
all the
battling.
chat.
So to answer Elmex's question from a while back, I
Yes.
think it was done okay. Like the whole flicking motion, it gets old after a while. The catching, because if you're trying to like get the perfect IVs and like perfect Pokemon and like shiny hunt, you have to chain catch them.
catching a lot.
And if you run into like if you catch like 19 Charmanders and then you run into like a Rattata on that route, it resets the whole chain. You got to start it all over again, which is I think that's how it works. But like I watched Johnstone, our friend John, he caught like all the shinies as he was playing the game. And it was like one of his biggest, if not his biggest video. I could not imagine. It took him like years to do, which was insane. So shout out to John. But you only need to beat 6
We'll have to
master
have John on
trainers
the
to fight
podcast.
Red. Oh, really? Okay, well, I changed my mind then. If I only need
We'll
to
have
beat
to,
6
we'll
master
have to have
trainers to
John.
fight Red, then yeah. Oh, yeah, John would
Yeah.
be crazy. You can run away. Oh, I'm learning so much about the game. So I guess I like them more than I thought I did. You only need to beat 6 master trainers to fight Red. That changes everything for me. You can run away and the chain is still active. Okay, well, you know what? If that's the case, then the game's better than I thought. So overall,
Maybe Brooks needs to go back and play that game. Maybe
I
Brooks needs to
actually
go
did
back
play it
and
recently. I
stream
almost
that game.
completed the Pokedex. It's just the thing
You
about
should try-
Pokemon
you should
games.
stream it.
I will eventually someday. The thing about Pokemon games is there is so much information about every single game. It is hard to keep up with. So anyway, all that discussion to say, we have I know we have enough content for multiple episodes on the Pokemon franchise alone. I mean, I love Pokemon. I have the grass types
yeah.
all the way.
One of
Favorite type?
One of my favorite franchises of all time. Yeah.
Gen 3 for me, I love it. It's super nostalgic. It's the reason that I'm here talking to anybody right now about gaming on YouTube.
Yeah.
Amazing. I love those games. I love what it did for the franchise. I love that it got like younger people into the older games. And I just have so many good memories with it. I remember a friend of mine growing up had like a level 100 Sceptile and like a Kyogre, and I could never beat him because he sucked and I didn't understand what I was doing. And he was just better, and he just made me so mad.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Gen 3
Pokemon
for me.
rules. I'm glad that we both had Pokemon games as our number.
I know is our number 2, and it almost
really
was my
funny.
number 1 until my number 1 pick happened. So what would be
my number one.
your number 1
also.
pick
So
for like
now-
your just end all be all favorite?
Before we get to that, let's do some honorable mentions.
That's true. I
Let's do some
forgot about
honorable
that.
mentions of things that almost made our list that didn't quite for various reasons. I'll go through a couple of mine.
Yeah,
You texted me this actually, and
did.
you said, "I want Glover 64 to be my entire list." Straight up, Glover. I love that game so much.
Glover's cool.
Love that game. It was one of those games that I spent way too much time playing just because I thought it was fun. But it's very janky
those old
and very weird.
platformers, yeah,
and like,
those old
oh,
platformers
God,
are
it's so
charming.
funny.
Like, okay, number 5, Glover 64. Number 4, I gotta give it to Glover 64.
like
Number
Glover
3,
64.
this is a tough choice. Glover
Yeah,
64.
Glover's-
That would be so funny. Glover is
but
fucking
no, so Glover's
silly.
incredible. If you've never played it, go find a ROM of it and play it. It's so fun.
Yep.
Metroid Zero Mission.
Oh, that's
so good.
Oh, that one's so good.
So good because I love the first game, but it's got a bunch of problems.
yeah.
And Zero Mission basically makes it.
Yeah,
a perfect
it is the
Metroid
best
game.
version of Metroid 1, I think.
It's so
that
good.
you could
It's
like,
so good.
canonically, because Metroid for the NES is booty cheeks sometimes. You know,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
it's so jank.
So Jump Force, a game that
yeah.
got destroyed. It's a fighting game that if you've never played Jump Force, it's basically like if you're into anime, it's like every anime character.
Yeah, it's like the fighting game.
Possible.
I owned it at one point, but
Yeah,
I sold
and a
it because
fighting
I
game.
wanted PS5. So Scott
You
says Sonic only good game.
Sonic only good game.
That's so funny. Didn't they bring back Glover for a Game Boy? I probably. I'm gonna look that up.
Probably. I don't remember.
I'm gonna find out.
But yeah, Jump Force was super fun. It was one of those games. The Heirloom crew got me turned on. Shout out to Heirloom, the band. They're super fun, good people. We used to go whenever I would go up to their band house and we would play and stuff, and like hang out and work on some of their music. We would play Jump Force. So a lot.
That's cool.
And they still have it. It is so fun. But it's like it's got its problems. It's like
Of course.
a bunch
But
same thing. It's got its issues. But the main problem that they ran into was there were so many IPs involved with it that like it was a nightmare to keep that paid for.
oh, dude, my favorite thing about it is the fact that you could be Yugi and like
And also Luffy and also Zoro.
and also like
freaking
Gon,
Goku
yeah.
and Gon. Yeah.
Like and then
And Mr.
Yusuke,
Satan.
like that's crazy. Like all
Dude,
these
it-
like
but what a good idea.
it's
so
wild.
cool.
Yeah, it was wild.
So that game, Resident Evil 4,
Oh, of course.
amazing game. Bunch of Zelda, basically every Zelda game except for one is an honorable mention, and then Banjo-Tooie.
I have the
What
cart.
a great
yeah,
game.
I have Banjo
Great game, dude.
Kazooie and Banjo Tooie.
Banjo-Kazooie is cool. Banjo-Tooie basically fixes all the problems with Banjo-Kazooie and like doubles the world size.
Oh yeah, it's massive. That game is so massive. I got lost in that game.
It's
actually,
so fun. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
those
so
old school
fun,
platforms.
dude.
Banjo
Like,
Kazooie just nailed it when it came to like
Yeah.
the old school like platformers and everything. Just beautiful game. I just looked up
Glover 64 is basically a nightmare.
he says WTF is that game, and I'm like, it's Glover, brother.
It's Glover, baby. It
What
is
is
what
Glover,
it is.
bro? It's Glover. Are
It's
you
Glover,
kidding me?
yeah.
It is Glover. Damn
It's
it!
so fun,
it's
dude.
fucking Glover. Anyways,
It reminds me, honestly, a lot of like the Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie kind of games. It's like that weird, esoteric,
It's like Croc.
nightmare world
you know,
game.
you remember
it's-
Croc? It's
one
like
of
those like weird
Yeah.
or Gex, like
Yeah.
you know, like it's one of
Less
those like
sexual than Gex, but yeah,
yeah.
or racist.
Oh, dude, Gex was that was a time. Yeah, Gex is like this reminds me of a party at Gene Simmons' house, and I'm like, what the hell? Kids don't know who that is. This reminds me of being in the hot tub with Liberace. Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, do you have any? It's literally Mario's glove in another Mario 64 game. That's a good.
Basically,
You like that scene from a extremely goofy movie where he goes, You ever wonder why we're always wearing gloves? And the guy in the background goes,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like, it's so funny. It's basically there.
Yeah.
So, any more
And so your
honorable
honorable mentions.
Okay, so
Those are
if
all
I had a
mine.
top
Go for
10,
it.
my like 5 through 10. Funny, Scott said Sonic. So Sonic Adventure 2.
so good.
That game
So good.
is crazy. It's not the best Sonic game, and there's things I don't like about it, but
Sure,
it
but it's so good.
defined my childhood. Also, the soundtrack, the Sonic Adventure 1 and 2.
Rules.
Oh, I could talk about that for a whole podcast.
Yeah.
Especially with you being a music person too. But like Sonic Adventure 2, amazing game. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite for the PSP. Dylan and
So I never
played.
played a Monster Hunter game.
So that's like old school Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Freedom 2 is the game that Dylan and I grew up playing a lot. But Unite is like the Pokemon Emerald of that. So if Pokemon Emerald,
Okay.
what Pokemon Emerald is to Ruby and Sapphire, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite is to Monster Hunter Freedom 2. So it just adds more content to the game, adds more weapons, adds more ranks,
Cleans up
adds
some
more
stuff.
Yeah, adds more everything, and it's just like, but it's old school Monster Hunter still. I actually, in some ways, prefer old school Monster Hunter to the newer stuff because it's like it's simpler. But the only thing I don't like about it is more jank. The hitboxes are more jank. Not a perfect game. Sometimes the monsters are really hard for like bullshit. Like you get hit and it's like there's no way that should have hit me. Sometimes you don't get hit and you're like that should have hit me. But like, anyway, Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. I would have to say Metroid Fusion, which I just streamed recently. Metroid Fusion
Also a
is my
great
favorite
game.
Metroid. It's really hard for me to pick between that and Super Metroid. Once I play Super Metroid again, and I would like to stream it again eventually, but like I just beat Metroid Fusion recently. I beat it a couple times. It's I wouldn't recommend 100%ing it because it's got a lot of filler power-ups. That's the only thing I don't really like about it.
I don't think I've 100% in it. I think
I wouldn't recommend it. I've looked it up and it's just annoying. It's a pain in the ass. So, but like
Gotcha.
you get most of the power-ups. You could get all the energy tanks in one go, which is cool. That's really the only thing you need because the game is hard. It's like the enemies do so much damage to you because you're supposed to be weaker. But Metroid Fusion, awesome. It's a more linear Metroid, which I can respect. They tried something new with it. I love the design of Samus. I love the lore and the story and the idea and the concept. I just think it's great. It's really hard because you and I both love Metroid so much. So it's hard for me to pick a favorite. Like if Metroid Fusion's a 10, like Prime and Zero Mission and Super Metroid are like 9s.
Yeah.
So and like one thing I would recommend you try out is another Metroid. It's like another Metroid 2 remake. It's like AM2R. It's like a fan-made recreation of Metroid 2, and like Nintendo put like a cease and desist about it. I think you can still get it somehow, but I've heard it's very good. So that's
check it out.
3. I would have to say Earthbound. Earthbound is
I never beat Earthbound, but I enjoyed playing the little bits that I've played of it.
Earthbound's great. It has one of my favorite soundtracks in gaming of all time.
Wacky.
It is a weird game, but it's like based in.
It's a wacky little guy game.
Yeah, I know. It's based in reality. It's like instead of like fantasy RPG stuff, you have like baseball bats and like hamburgers and like
tin cans.
and it's just like it's so wholesome and sweet. Mother games are so good. I need to beat Mother 3. Like I actually have the fan-made guide for Mother 3. Like it's handmade. Like it's not Nintendo never released it because it had to be translated from the Japanese version, but they made like a guide for it and like hand drew and wrote out everything. And like I have that somewhere in my house, but like that. And then for my last one, it would be Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, which Hollow Knight would probably take the place of once I beat Hollow Knight. But Aria of Sorrow, Castlevania is just a great series. I love Super Castlevania 4, the NES version, or Castlevania 1.
I love any of those kind of like RPG adjacent platformers like that are Metroid and Metroidvania style.
Yeah, because they have
games. I love all that
stats
kind
and
of
like
stuff,
you can
man.
customize your stuff and like all the gear.
I recently
and, like,
got into Dead Cells. And like that game's super fun. Like as far as like a pick up and play kind of random game.
So those are
kind of games too.
those are some of my runners up. Again, games like Mario 64 come to mind. Like Mario Kart DS, like stuff like that come to mind. There's so many great games.
To put a nice bow on this, let's get to our number ones.
Yeah. So your favorite game?
So for me, it's a Zelda game. I love Zelda games. Basically, what it comes down to is which Zelda game.
Yep.
I love Breath of the Wild. I love.
That's another one of my runners up.
Yeah, it's so good. Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Is pretty good. I like it less than like Ocarina of Time and games
Stresses
like that.
me out. But yes, it's good.
stresses me out. Yeah, I think that's why I don't like it. It's just like less of a casual play and more of a stressful play all the way through.
Yeah.
My number one is Tears of the Kingdom. It has recently overtaken
Wow.
Ocarina of Time as my number one game because it does everything that I loved about Ocarina of Time as far as the grandness of the world and exploration and like all that, while keeping you keeping the direction of, kind of easy to follow the, going from place to place, but there's just so much to do in between.
Oh yeah.
And the building capabilities of being able to build whatever you want is so fun.
That's the biggest part of the game for me.
It's
like
so fun, and being
the
able to
biggest
fly
appeal.
around is so cool. And like, I don't know, man, it is everything I love about a Zelda game, just amplified by a million.
Yeah, that's what. So Tristan and Hannah told me that Minish Cap is best Zelda. Goes, that's funny. It's a good game. It's not my favorite, but it's a good game.
It's my favorite Zelda, but that could also be recency bias.
Brooks' honorable mention is just the Metroidvania games I love. Heck yeah, dude. Yeah, Ghost and I have pretty similar tastes in games. But yeah, Tears of the Kingdom, I totally respect that because it's a huge game and it is just extra Breath of the Wild if you loved it. I personally am not the biggest fan of it. I like Breath of the Wild more.
You just don't like... Oh, okay.
Breath of the Wild because
reason?
I think Breath of the Wild was more of a self-contained experience. Because for me, and it's just the way I am as a person, I think there's just, which is going to be funny when I tell you my favorite game, there's just too much for me going on in Tears of the Kingdom.
That's why I like it.
Yeah, I know. It's like if you're into that and love that, because Tristan and Hannah, they say it's their favorite Zelda games too. From what I remember, they said they like it better than Breath of the Wild, and I think Tristan even told me it was like the best Zelda game. So there are tons of people that love it, and I know why. I know why. For me personally, it was just a little too tedious. I need to beat it on stream because I'm at the end of the game. I put
you need to beat it on stream.
I put a ton of hours into it.
Have I beaten it? I feel like I've beaten it.
I haven't beaten the final boss yet. So once I do, I'll probably never touch it again. But but I still think it's a good game. I think there's a lot of things to love about it, especially if you didn't play Breath of the Wild. Oh, dude. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. I do love saving Koff's, torturing Koff's
core.
Koroks. Yeah, Korok seeds will always be shit. Like I will
So
never
funny.
defend Korok seeds. But like you get enough to upgrade your stuff and leave. Fuck the rest of them. But if it's your first Zelda game, there's a lot of great things and great ideas. And I can't believe they pulled it off on the Switch. And it runs as well as it does. It's technically so impressive for the hardware limitations.
It is a technical marvel, and the fact that it still looks good.
Oh yeah,
and plays well. The load times are not that bad. Like if like pretty fast, and like the cutscenes, the seamless cutscene to gameplay transitions are incredible on a Switch, bro.
Oh yeah,
a 7-year-old console.
Yeah, when the Switch, I can't wait. Shout out to Arlo. But if you want to know anything about Nintendo from a reliable, trusted source, Arlo's the guy. So Arlo talks about all that. I haven't watched his recent video. It's like there's actual evidence of the Switch 2 coming out, which I want to see if like what he has to say about it. But Arlo is the man.
Yeah.
Shout out to Arlo. But that's where I get all my Nintendo stuff from, is like I trust that guy. But like all that to say, I totally understand where you're coming from when it comes to Tears of the Kingdom. The game is super impressive. Just a technical feat. I personally,
and I feel like it's very easy to give. I fully understand giving Breath of the Wild number one.
That's my
for a lot of
go-to.
people too.
Like if I had to pick between both of them,
totally
Breath of the
understand
Wild. It's basically. I don't want to water it down by saying it's the same game, but it's like
it's basically the same. It's just slightly different versions of the same game.
It's two types of experiences. Like Breath of the Wild is more,
Yes,
and that's being that I love A Link to the Past, I love more self-contained, like specific experiences, where Tears of the Kingdom is like a huge something for everybody. It's got so much that like,
And that's
Which is
why
the
I like it,
appeal.
because I can play the same game, and depending on what I want to do,
Oh,
I
yeah.
can go do that thing
also Eli, what's up?
in the
Thanks for showing
same
up.
game.
Yeah, I
What's up,
totally
Eli?
get that. So, Andrew's favorite game of all time, Tears of the Kingdom. And now that I say
Yeah.
all that, I'm about to incriminate myself. And this is a recent pick for me. Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Elden
You
Ring.
say I don't like games with too much content. And
Yeah. So
pick
Elden,
one of arguably the largest games of all time.
I know. So I'm a little bit of a hypocrite. Elden Ring has its flaws. Elden Ring is not perfect. I have a lot of gripes with
I would
Elden
argue
Ring.
that it's one of the least flawed games, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but I think, and I was this close to picking Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Because that's the game that like changed everything for me when it comes to FromSoft games.
Yeah.
And Dark Souls is a masterpiece, and it probably should be on the list instead of Elden Ring. But I've replayed Elden
Fair.
Ring so much recently. That's the one game that's like, if I had to pick a game to wipe my memory clean of, it would be hard between like Pokemon Emerald and Elden Ring,
Yeah.
but I still think I would pick Elden Ring. That could change, but like, especially when the DLC. I was gonna say Conker's Bad Fur Day was Brooks' favorite. Yeah, I like getting drunk and pissing on the fire guys and the Great Mighty Pooh.
Yeah.
That would be a Brooks game though. I need to stream that
Yeah,
game
that would
eventually
be a
somehow.
Brooks game.
But
Yeah.
Elden Ring, there's a lot to be said about I can just play this and have fun whenever I pick it up. That's true. For me, Elden Ring as a total package, all of its flaws, everything in it is like I do love open world games. I
Yeah.
remember playing the like Fallout 3 and just walking around the wasteland, and I went to Rivet City and I stole all of the silverware and resold it back to everybody and made tons of caps. Like, I love open world games. I love just getting lost. Breath of the Wild. I could walk around Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild forever. You know, Tears of the Kingdom even. Like, I love having that and having I think the difference between Elden Ring and Tears of the Kingdom for me is like there are a ton of things to do, but I think Elden Ring offers slightly more of a reward for
Yeah.
doing the things, because like Tears
Sure.
of the Kingdom, for example, you go through the dungeons and then you get DLC armor, right? But if you do Elden Ring, like Elden Ring has some crappy rewards when it comes to runes,
So-
rune gain, and like items and stuff like that. But if you want like a specific Ash of War, you do a specific thing.
Yeah.
It enhances your build. So sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
We can I was just gonna say we can there's plenty of games that I want to talk about that are like games that I haven't played that I'm excited to play.
Oh, that would be a great thing to talk about too, because I have plenty of those.
Yeah, that like I'm very intrigued to play, or like I feel like that's a whole thing. But open world is my favorite genre of game.
I love it.
Yeah,
I
heck yeah.
love it.
I love that that's a recent meta that everybody's just really diving into, because it's super fun and it just leaves you to do it however you want to. But I've never played Elden Ring. Elden Ring
dude,
is
it
on
would
that
change
list
your life.
for me.
Like,
And
it's just
it's just one of those things where I feel like it would be like a game that probably honestly should be on my list that I didn't even think about is any of the Elder Scrolls games, like Oblivion or Skyrim or like those kind of games. Obviously those games also have flaws, but they're super fun in a very similar way to Elden Ring, which is like you can build your stuff, things matter, choices matter, fighting bosses and
for me,
finishing
Elden Ring,
things.
like the build, like I'm a strength main because I'm a meathead, like unga bunga, like big damage, hit, kill, like like that's sort of I've dabbled. But the thing about Elden Ring is like I've dabbled in sorcery builds, I've dabbled in like hybrid builds. I've tried all different
Mm-hmm.
types of things, which it gives you the option to try things for sure. But
Yeah.
you always seem to end up going back. Like, I wanted to be a Carrion Knight, which is like a magic-based sorcerer that uses like melee spells. But I ended
Mm-hmm.
up going right back to strength because that's my bread and butter, and that's how I like to play the games. Like,
Yep.
you can do, I've had bleed builds, I've had faith and magic builds, like a hybrid build, because you use a Sword of Night and Flame, and it has both fire and magic, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you have like with strength. So there's 3 examples of a strength build that I have on my current character. One is just like the gut sword, like the big great sword with the lion's claw, the front flip smash attack, which is like my single-handed one.
I've seen you play with that one before.
And then I have the Rusted Anchor, which does pierce damage with wild strikes. So I literally can just have the Rusted Anchor and go and just eviscerate whatever I need to. And it's the only thing about it is the length, the range is smaller. But the pierce damage, for example, if you're getting hit, pierce damage increases your damage. So it's like a counter damage almost. So that's cool. And there's a talisman that boosts that damage as well. And then my third one, I have a dual halberd setup that's bleed. I have bleed on both of it. And then I have this Ash of War. It's like a phantom slash, which it like creates a clone of you, and it sends it out and slashes, and then you slash after it, and it's just like heavenly.
Yeah.
So also the jumping in that game is like, it changed combat. It changed the way you dodge. It changed the way you attack. It changed. I can talk about Elden Ring.
When I play Elder Scrolls games, I always start as a sword and board, and I always end up, as soon as they because there's an inevitability in an Elder Scrolls game, the way that they're all set up is they introduce you to a magic school.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get introduced to a magic school, I become an archer mage every single time.
Oh, dude, there's
I become
literally
an
an Ash
assassin
of War.
archer mage.
There's a spell called Loretta's Great Bow, and it's literally like pretty much a magic bow where you and you charge up, and like there's Ashes of War that can do the same thing, and like it's just amazing. Elden Ring has something for everyone, and it is the most accessible FromSoft game because they give you so many resources and tools to deal with everything. Let's see. Eli says, "Have you played
Let's run through
Armored
chat
Core
real
6?"
quick.
I had Armored Core 6. I'm gonna get it on PC later, but I wanted to play it. I had it on PS4, but I traded my PS4 in for a PS5 and I sold it. But I want to buy it on PC, so it looks amazing.
Nice.
I haven't played it yet, but it looks. Borderlands franchise is Borderlands for
I
being,
love Borderlands.
Yeah, to be franchise minus the pre-sequel is my number one favorite. BL3 being on the top, that's a good choice. Too crude to be called
Good
a sword.
shout.
Oh, right. Yeah, the Sword of Night and Flame or whatever.
The Sword of Night and Flame.
I've always been a brute force type of player. I feel like other playing types go too slow for me. When I play Dark Souls, my favorite way to play is based on Dark Souls 3 combat, where it's like big, heavy weapon, light armor, roll fast. So it's like I can tons of damage, roll fast.
Hit hard and don't get hit.
That's basically how I like to play those games. So it's like a hybrid of Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring. It's like, I still think Dark Souls 3 has the best combat, I think. But Elden Ring's combat
I've never played a FromSoft game.
It'll change your life. I think Dark Souls 3, but the thing is, Elden Ring has glass cannon fighting, basically, is what I like. But the jumping mechanic in Elden Ring almost makes me argue against that, because the jump mechanic, like, for example, if a sword swipe goes down, you jump it. You know,
can jump over it.
You could roll through it, or you, like one of the main bosses in the game, he has a big sword and he goes, it's like a big sweep, but you could hop it. The final boss has an attack where you have to jump over it to avoid damage. So all that to say, we'll start to wrap things up here, but this has been a great episode. But like Elden Ring, I mean, I got the tattoo and everything. My first playthrough of Elden Ring, that game came out at a very special time for me where I was like going through some really tough stuff, and it got me through a lot. And as I replay the game and look forward to the DLC, it just has become my go-to favorite game. There's so much I love about it. Any Crusader King players? CK3 is one of my favorite. I've never heard of it, but if Eli likes
Never heard about it. I'm
I'm
gonna
sure
check it
it's
out.
good. So yeah, our
I'm gonna check
favorite
it out.
games of all time.
It is funny. It is funny that between Elden Ring and Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom is just Nintendo's Elden Ring.
It is. Yeah.
It is literally just Nintendo's version of Elden Ring.
Cody, what's up? Tell you I might end soon. Oh yeah, we're about to end the podcast, but again,
I think we're going to end the podcast. We might stay on stream for a little bit though, and
Yeah.
hang out with people and chat for a bit.
but yeah, that's
we're
our
gonna end the
favorite
podcast
games.
here in a
Yeah, that's
second.
our favorite games of all time. That's gonna end the recording and the
Yep.
VOD. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you guys for showing up.
Yeah,
having a good time.
If you're listening, hit subscribe, like, share with a friend. If you're listening on audio platform, leave a review. It's really good for the podcast. And then if you're not listening to this and you're watching this on a podcast platform, go to a podcast platform and leave a review and help us push it to new people.
Yep.
That's super fun. And yeah, thank you for hanging out. Brooks, send us off.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see y'all next Monday. Be nice. Be good. Don't be mean. Love you guys. Bye.